Hey everyone, Daniel Betancourt here with RE/MAX Town Center, and today we're going to be talking to you about 5 mistakes that are often made by for sale by owner sellers and how to avoid them. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Daniel Betancourt here with RE/MAX Town Center and of teambetancourt.com. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and if you would please subscribe to this channel and click on the bell to receive notifications of new videos that I release on a weekly basis. I'd love your input and your feedback, and if there's ever anything that I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. So today we're covering the 5 most common FSBO mistakes and how to avoid them. So the first one on the list, number 5, is first impressions. So what do you think about first impressions?
First impressions are so important. I mean, the people are going to look at your photographs and maybe your videos, and you just want them to be of the highest quality that you can produce by yourself. And that's not hard to do. Daniel, give us some pointers on that if you would.
So first impressions, just like in real life, when you're dealing with yourself, you want to look your best and make the best first impression that you can. So when you're selling a home, it's important for a buyer to be attracted to your home. And the first impression comes when they first see your home, a photo of your home on the whichever avenue you're using to sell your home. So you want to use high quality photography equipment if you're able to. You want to make sure the lighting in your home is as good as it can be. If you don't have professional photography equipment, borrow a really nice cell phone. The cell phones these days have a lot of advanced capabilities. And so you just want to make sure your photos are attractive, because the whole point of selling your home is to attract qualified buyers. And if they're being turned off by that first impression, they just will ignore your home and keep on looking.
That's very good, Daniel. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I know you've noticed it yourself, is a lot of the times we'll see people with their own reflection in the mirror when they take a picture is one thing that always grabs my attention. So what can you tell us about that, Daniel?
So if you've been home shopping over the last few years, it's inevitable you've seen some photos with the photographer in the mirror. Now, it could be the homeowner, or it could be, just kind of a low budget agent out there taking a picture of himself in the mirror and posting it up as one of the bathroom photos or something like that. You can very easily, if you just take a few seconds and work at it, when you're aiming your camera and trying to find that perfect angle to take of your bathroom, just move your camera around, move your body around in a way that your camera or your face or your pets are not in the mirror. You can move the camera down towards the countertop height, and that could help, or you can just take the photo from a different angle. And
I've seen you when you do that, Daniel. I've seen you kind of scoot down below the countertop to take the picture in the bathroom. That works very well too, right?
Right. So if I'm taking a photo of a bathroom, I will normally lower the camera down to the countertop height, and that will usually resolve that issue. On our listings, we use professionals, and professionals know exactly what they're doing. If in a worst case scenario, if they had to take a photo where they were in the reflection, they would use software to remove that, and you'd never know that they were there.
That's great stuff, Dan. And another thing is that toilet seat. Get that toilet seat down, please.
Right.
That's always a good one.
No one wants to see what's underneath your toilet seat, and no one really wants to see what's inside of your toilet.
Oh, Lord.
So if you're taking a photo of your bathroom, it's always a great idea to clean your bathroom, lower your toilet seat, and get out of the reflection.
All good stuff, Daniel.
So those were some great tips, which lead us to number 4 on the list, which is home preparation.
And what can you tell us about home preparation, Daniel? I know there's a lot of things like, not too many family photos, and keep those countertops clean. And what else can you tell us about that?
Right. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of FSBO sellers making in their photos is they prepare very little for the photography. They think, I'm selling the house myself and I'm gonna show everyone what my house looks like, as a matter of fact, right now. And so they go around and take some photos with zero preparation. And what you want to do when you're preparing for photos, obviously your house should be as clean as possible. Your light bulbs should all be working. You want to turn on all your lights in your photos. Any yard trash or anything like that, or 15-year-old hoses that are just laying around in your backyard, You want to take all of that away. You want the buyer to be able to imagine themselves living in your home, and you want them to be attracted to what they're imagining. And when you have your home, in disarray, it's not attractive to a potential buyer. So countertops in the kitchen, you'd like to remove any of those appliances that you're not using. You want to minimize, I see a lot of photos where sellers will have these 15-year-old dish rags hanging from their stove handles and things like that. You don't see those because they're there for you all the time. So it's important just to try to, take a step away and say, what will someone else see about this house that I might just take for granted? So just take those things off the countertops in your bathrooms. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to remove things, soap, shampoo, toothbrushes, and remove it all from the countertops, and it'll just give a nice clean look, and buyers can imagine nice imaginations about living in this home.
That's great, Daniel. Thank you so much for that. Daniel, number 3 on the list is marketing and lack of marketing. So what can you tell us about how we could market our home the best way?
So number 3 is lack of marketing. That's a huge FSBO seller mistake. In the old days, first of all, people have been selling homes on their own for many years. And in the old days, all they would do would be put a for sale by owner sign in the ground and hope that the right buyer drives past their house and buys their home. Nowadays, there are websites and other resources that you can use to publicize your home for sale. So number 1 is don't just rely on that sign. If you live in a community on a dead-end street, only your next door neighbors are going to see that sign. If you live on a major highway, you might get a lot of eyeballs, but no one's really paying attention to what your home is like in that type of a situation. So some of the resources out there, what a lot of for sale by owner sellers are using these days is Zillow. And Zillow is a very popular website for home buyers. So if you list your home for sale on Zillow, you will get some exposure in addition to your for sale by owner sign. Zillow owns the website Trulia. So if you're for sale by owner on Zillow, you'll also be for sale by owner on Trulia. Trulia is not as popular as Zillow, but it's another resource. There is also Craigslist, where you can make listings for free, and Facebook. Facebook is a popular place. I don't know how many people search for homes on Facebook,
Right.
but they have a marketplace where you can publicize your home for sale on Facebook. So just take advantage of those and try to get as much exposure as possible, because the more eyeballs see your home, and as long as you have a good first impression, then hopefully you will attract those buyers and get your phone to ring.
Again, some really great tips, Daniel. Thank you so much for that. And number 2 on the list is, I've got somebody who's come to my house today and they want to make me an offer. What about that paperwork, Daniel?
Yeah, so number 2 is understanding the contracts. This is, let's say you've done everything right. You've gotten the first impression of your home right. You've gotten the exposure right. So here you've got a buyer who expresses all kinds of excitement about buying your home, and they tell you they're approved and they want to make you an offer. Most sellers, I know this is not all sellers, but most sellers have not seen a purchase agreement probably since the last time they purchased a home. And even when they purchased a home, they probably didn't read it cover to cover. It's really important to familiarize yourself with the terms of the contract that you're using. First of all, you need a contract. The contract has to have some teeth to protect you as a seller. The buyer should be making a deposit. The contract should have timelines for when your closing date is. If there's an inspection period, how long will that inspection period be? If the buyer's dissatisfied with the inspection results, what's going to be the solution to overcome that? If the buyer does not comply with the terms of the contract, if they become disqualified, or if they were never qualified to begin with, or if they need a contract closing date extension, what are the measures that the parties in the contract take to resolve those issues? And I only bring this up because oftentimes I see sellers that are excited because they feel they have a qualified buyer in line and under contract, only to find out months later the buyer was never qualified to begin with, or the buyer had ulterior motives, or the buyer was more savvy than they were in the contract terms and were trying to take advantage of the seller.
Wow.
So
it can get very difficult, I understand. So Daniel, where could I go to get a contract like that? Is there someplace I can go to get myself a contract?
So if you were selling the home on your own, the best place for you to obtain a contract, in my opinion, is from an attorney. I would seek out a local attorney, someone who is recommended to you, who works on real estate transactions, and let them know that you'd like to sell the home on your own, and ask them if they will provide you with a copy of a contract to use. I'm sure there will be a cost associated with that, or if you can hire them to review the contract once you do have a buyer who's interested in purchasing your home. I think that's the best measure a seller can do if they have no interest in working with a realtor.
That's great, Daniel. Thank you so much for that. So now listen, number one on the list, Daniel, I think is probably one of the most important ones. And number one is pricing. How do I establish the price I'm going to sell my house for, Daniel?
So number one, it's number one for a reason. It's the biggest mistake that sellers of FSBOs make. And pricing strategy is so important. Obviously, as a homeowner, you have a special emotional attachment to your home. And a lot of times that special emotional attachment will skew your pricing strategy. So ideally, if you want to get your home priced accurately, you can either reach out to a realtor who can give you some kind of a market analysis. But if you would like it even more professionally done, you can hire a home appraiser who will come out to your home, take measurements, take pictures, review all of the comparable homes that have sold in the neighborhood, and give you a report that's professionally done that will tell you exactly what your home is worth based on a professional appraiser's opinion.
Well, Daniel, what you and I see most of the time out there is initial listing prices that are so far out of line, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 more than what the house is actually worth. What can you tell us about the real problems with that? I know everybody wants to get the most amount of money in the least amount of time, but if my house is $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000 overpriced, what are the complications of that?
So I totally get why someone might feel compelled to overprice their home. And the reason why we hear from most sellers is they want to create some padding or some cushion because, of course, the buyer is going to come in and make me an offer. And they feel like if they overprice the home, well, the buyer will just kind of blindly make them an offer that's just perfect home value. And the seller will say, I fooled you. I'm taking off this padding that I never expected in the first place. And now we've settled on the perfect price for my home that I expected all along. And so that strategy is counterproductive because when you overprice your home, buyers, first of all, if you're for sale by owner and you're marketing your home on a website like Zillow, Zillow has its own estimate of what they believe your home is worth. And a lot of times they're promoting to the buyer that your home is overpriced. So the buyer will see that, and that's not going to attract them to check out your house. But the other reason why it's counterproductive is because as your home becomes more affordable or more priced in line with what it's really worth, it's going to result in more buyers that can afford that price and more buyers that will come out to see your home. And the more buyers that you can get walking through your home when it's for sale is always a positive thing, and it's going to increase your chances that you will receive an acceptable offer.
Exactly. That's so important, and that is the number one thing that for sale by owners are missing out. Thank you so much, Daniel, for that.
And what happens, you've mentioned in the past, what happens if the buyer is willing to overpay for that house and they're borrowing the money from the lender, and so a buyer says, you know what, I agree with you. Your home is worth what you say it is, and I want it so badly. I just want to offer you that full price.
Well, you know, as you said just now, most people are going to have a mortgage, and the mortgage is going to come from a mortgage lender or a bank, and that bank is not going to pay a nickel more than that appraisal when that appraisal comes in. So every purchase is going to have an appraisal at the end of the day. So all we've done, if we're so far out overpriced, and even if we're willing to pay that, the bank is not willing to pay it. So at the end of the day, we've got to get that number. Right on the money.
And what happens if you have a cash buyer who says, you know what, I don't need an appraisal because I've got all the money, I've got a big fat wad of money in my pocket?
Well, the guy that's got the big fat money in his pocket is a guy that's just sold his house for one thing, and that's why he's got the money in his pocket. But even that guy, in the information age that we're living in, he knows what that house is worth, and he doesn't want to spend any more money than he has to either. The other type of individual that's got a pocket full of money is the investor. And the investor is certainly not going to want to pay what the house is worth. They want to buy it for less than the house is worth. That's why they're an investor.
That's right. So pricing strategy, you just have to decide how motivated are you to get the transaction closed. Are you in a hurry to get to your next place? Do you need to receive your net proceeds? Do they have to be an exact amount? Is there any flexibility in that? I would definitely, if you're unsure about your price, don't go by what your neighbors say because they have that same emotional attraction to the neighborhood and to the house as you do. I would definitely seek out a professional appraiser or get the opinion of a few realtors. They would be happy to provide you with a free market analysis and give you an idea. And don't rely on what Zillow says because Zillow has never sent anyone to your home to check it out. So that's the number one strategy. And I think if you can get these 5 steps right, you will have a lot of luck selling your home for what it's actually worth in a reasonable amount of time.
That's really great stuff. Daniel, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely. And just wanted to let you know, if you are selling your home on your own, whether you're here in our local Central Florida market or you're out of town in some other state, if you have questions about selling your home, we'd love to answer those questions. You can leave a comment below this video and we'll get back to you with our comments on that. If you are here locally in Central Florida and you like the opinion of a professional realtor that does a lot of business here, we'd love an opportunity to speak with you on that. But otherwise, we really appreciate you watching the video, taking the time, and look out for the next videos that we put out.
Well, listen, I want to thank everybody so much for watching our video. And if you'd like more information, you can reach me at 407-493-2854. And Daniel?
You can reach me at 407-375-9142. I'm Daniel Betancourt with RE/MAX Town Center.
And I'm Joe Marché. Thank you all so very much. Have a great, blessed day.
That's right.